The Valley in southeast London is our venue this afternoon for the 55th league meeting between Charlton Athletic and Stoke City. The Londoners hoping to go second in the table. Stoke can climb to fourth. There was thick fog in London earlier today, but Stoke have made it. There is Chick Bates looking reasonably confident, and there is Peter Thorne, their leading goal scorer with 8. But he missed the cup tie against Leeds in midweek, and he's a doubt today. Ray Wallace isn't. He was instrumental during the Potteries derby, and so too Kevin Keane on a week-to-week contract. Good afternoon to the division's in-form sides meet at the Valley, and we're expecting a goal feast. Charlton are the top scorers in Division 1, and Stoke arrived with 6 wins from their last 8 games. And as we saw during last week's Potteries derby, there is no shortage of style in Chick Bates' lineup. My guest today is the former Charlton striker turned best-selling author Gary Nelson. Gary, nice to have you with us today. You must be as impressed as the rest of us at the way your old team has started the season.
Yes, certainly. It was a little bit of a non-event of a season for them last year, and there's lots of good things going off the field at Charlton at the moment, but the concentration, the focus has to be what's going on it. And certainly the most interesting side is that Charlton have always been fairly well known for how difficult they are to beat, but goal scoring has always been a problem, and they're leading the scoring charts at the moment, and goals are coming in particularly on their travels, which is very good to see.
Clive Mendonca, the leading goal scorer, he's been in a very rich vein of form recently. Is he the one reason why they're suddenly scoring all these goals?
He's a massive influence, Clive. He's well known in the First Division as a class act. He's got a good goal scoring record. He's had his problems with injury in the past. But I think everybody, once they knew that his injury problems had been surmounted, would have been looking at Clive and thinking, well, if we could have him, he'd be a good asset. And Charlton were fortunate enough to get him at a good price as well. And I think speaking to many people who go regularly to the Valley, they're really very, very pleased with him. It's been a great signing for them.
And I know you've been doing plenty of homework about Stoke. What are you expecting from them today?
Well, looking at them, they've got a reasonable record away from home, a 2-1-2, I think it is. They haven't scored a lot of goals. They've got 4 goals, conceded 5. So they're going to be tight, they're going to be compact, hard-working. But we get an early indication as to how the game's going to pan out. I think Charlton will be looking to get a really good tempo going straight from the off. They should be full of confidence, and it's how long really Stoke can weather it and then start building their own game plan. So it should be all set for a very good game, I think.
Friday, our roving reporter Paul MacKenzie went on a 700-mile round trip with a dedicated Carlisle fan. Hope you didn't miss that. Today, he has a Charlton supporter who's just as committed to his club.
John Roach, lifelong Charlton fanatic. During the day, he works for London Transport, but out of hours, he spends all his spare time doing everything and anything that requires a spare pair of hands around his beloved football club. John, you do all this as a labour of love, you don't get paid. Why?
I don't know, but I just enjoy it down here. All the lads on the ground staff have a good laugh, so it just gives me a bit of a laugh in life.
Now, it's your birthday today, you're 53, you saw your first game back in 1950, you had the programme there, Charlton Arsenal. Do you remember much about it?
No, not really, apart from my dad bringing me on the tram. There must have been 60,000 in here, so I expect Charlton won anyway.
Well, you certainly won't get 60,000 in here today, but you get a good crowd. How do you see the game going today?
I don't know, really, but hopefully it'll be nearly 15,000, although it depends how many away supporters come. And then we're all having a good roll, the first team, reserves, and the Colts are high up in their tables. I think if we go second today if we win, so I reckon we win. And it's an exciting time to watch Charlton anyway. We opened a new superstore yesterday and had an open day. We had 7,000 here yesterday, the open day. So it's a good time. Yeah, we'll win.
Well, you're a super fan indeed, and thanks for taking the time to speak to us. And with that, back to you, Marcus.
Good times at Charlton, rewarding times for the loyal supporters. Thank you, Paul. And well done to Charlton, who are today letting all under-16s into the ground for £1. Great to see the young members of the community being encouraged. After the break, the rest of the Division 1 goals. We are concentrating on the First Division match between Charlton Athletic and Stoke City at the Valley. Head-to-heads show that Stoke have edged it over the years, 23 wins to 20, and they've had the upper hand in recent years, losing only 1 of the last 7 and winning 5 in that time. But at home, Charlton have lost only 1 of the last 5, 16 wins as opposed to Charlton's 7. My guest today is the former Charlton striker, Gary Nelson. We've already had a look at some of the goals from yesterday's programme. It's back to that now, and the leaders, Nottingham Forest, who were at home. second, and Stoke, if they win, can go up to fourth in the table. Exciting times at Charlton. Plenty of building work has been underway just recently. 3.2 million spent on the new West Stand, and they're planning to spend another 2 million on that in time for their arrival in the Premier League. It's all change, isn't it, Gary Nelson?
5 years ago, yeah, when you think they were at Upton Park and looking forward to going back to the Valley, and 5 years have come an awful long way.
This is Floyd Sports Bar. Anyone wearing a red top today will have been able to get in there for free. That certainly looks a lot more plush than the porter cabins we normally have our cups of tea in.
Yes, that's the new Millennium Lounge, I believe, which they've got plans to go another tier above the West Stand as it stands at the moment. Exciting times for the club.
Certainly are. A team on the up. I wonder if they're the favourites for this afternoon's game. 11 to 10 on, according to the bookies. Yep. And Charlton, or rather Stoke, 12 to 5 with the draw 9 to 4. I bet I know who's the favourite to score the first goal. Clive Mendonca, 6 in his last 5 games. He's 9 to 2. Steve Jones, 7. Guy whose name continues to be a little bit unusual. I've heard 67 different pronunciations in the past 3 or 4 days. Jose Andrede, Andrede, Androgynous, you name it. He's been called it. 9 to 1 to score the goal. Jerry McMahon, the former Spurs player, 10 to 1, and John Robinson, who's scored 3 in his last 2 games, he's also at 10 to 1. On Friday night, we had a 50 to 1 player scoring the first goal, Gary Parkinson for Preston at Carlisle. So maybe we should look down the list today. Anthony Barness, 50 to 1. I think I might put a couple of pounds on Albert Pickering, to give him his full name. He hates the name Albert. 80 to 1. He could be worth a bet, Paul. Let's get the team who's made sure that Albert Pickering is playing by joining Alan Bentley.
Yes, he is indeed, Marcus, and we're enjoying this Indian summer down at the Valley. You really should get out more. The real blow, though, for Stoke, Peter Thorne is absent. More about that in a moment or two. Let's start with Charlton Athletic then, the home side, and the Australian Andy Petterson, an ever-present, he's in goal, but there are a couple of problems at the back. Steve Brown, he's got a 3-match ban. He scored a cracker here when we were last here against Bradford, you may remember. And Stuart Barmer has had a cartilage operation. So that means Mark Bowen is in for his first start since he arrived from Shimuzu S-Pulse, and Phil Chapple keeps his place. In midfield, well, Mark Kinsella made his 50th appearance for the club at Huddersfield. And John Robinson, he was the man of the match in our last visit, a 9th cap for Wales last week, and he supplies the ammunition for Clive Mendonca. It took him a little while to get going. Now he's got 8 goals. What a bargain buy he looks. And on the bench, 2 well-known names in Matty Holmes and Bradley Allen. Shifting across then to Stoke City, the visitors. Carl Muggleton at last getting an extended run in the side. And at the back, Laura Sigurdsson, the Icelandic international, who supposedly was interesting in Newcastle last season. And Stephen Tweed, a Scot who arrived via Greece under the Bosman ruling. In midfield, Kevin Keane, he's on a week-to-week contract, hoping to sort that out, we understand. And Richard Forsyth made his 50th league appearance last week for the club. And there's Ray Wallace, his twin brother Rod, hit 2 for Leeds in extra time to kick Stoke out to the Coca-Cola in midweek. As we said, Peter Thorne, 8 goals for him this season. He's still out with that foot injury. So Jose Manuel Gomez Andrede, another Bosman ruling player, he does play with Jerry McMahon keeping his place up front. And on the bench, Paul Macari, he gets the nod ahead of the exquisitely named Kofi Nyama. That's about it from us, Marcus. Back to you.
Wonderful pronunciation. Well done, Alan. Still a little bit misty in southeast London. There were major pockets of fog this morning, but it is clearing. It's going to be a glorious afternoon, and we should have a wonderful game of football. And this man, Clive Mendonca, will, I suspect, feature very heavily in it, Gary.
Yes, class player at this level, brings other people into the game well. Charlton have changed their style a little bit since Carl Leeburn's been excluded from the side, and they play a lot more through him. Steve Jones looks to get beyond a little bit more, run the channels. But I think Clive's been the catalyst, and I think he's given everybody the confidence, particularly the wide fellas, to get forward a little bit more.
Scored 20 goals for Grimsby last season, and remember that was a relegation season for Grimsby. 6 in his last 5 games, 8 altogether, and he needs 2 more to reach the 100 mark. Now, John Robinson is another player who's been catching the eye just recently, and he's a player you know a fair bit about.
I know a fair bit about him. He used to clean my boots when I was at Brighton with him, and we used to travel up regularly.
Did he clean them well?
He didn't do a bad job, but we used to travel up regularly together in the Gatwick Express, as we called it, up from the south coast, and he's really come on. Playing on the left, but he's right-footed, but he's one of the fittest lads I've ever seen, I think. He'll get up and down all day, as will Newton on the other side. But he can score goals, comes in, cuts in on his right foot and scores lots of goals. And A lot of speculation about him at the moment. Welsh international, of course, but he's got a very bright future, I think, John.
Born in Rhodesia.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, his parents were out there, and he came back to the south coast. So, but that's how he qualified for Wales via Bulawayo, I think.
Really?
This is a well-known mining village in Wales.
Yes, I'm sure. Very logical. Now, on the other side, Ray Wallace, who certainly caught my eye last week in the Potteries derby, part of the famous Wallace clan. Took a while to establish himself in the Stoke side, but he won a clutch of awards last season from the supporters. He's a real favourite now.
Yeah, I think he started his career as a fullback, didn't he? Where everybody else, the other Wallaces we knew, were exciting forwards. But diminutive player, very, another good engine, can get up and down the field, and I think he's made that position in the middle of midfield his own now.
Seems to have finally found a home, because he'd been at various different clubs: Southampton, Leeds, Swansea, Reading and Hull. A lot of those on loan. He was looking for a home, but having found one, he's now flourishing. Yeah,
sometimes a change of position or change of environment, and you just get a magic formula, and I say he's part and parcel, an integral part of the Stoke side now.
And the key man for Stoke 7 days ago, if you'll excuse almost a pun, Kevin Keane, on a week-to-week contract, the former West Ham and Wolves player. A lot of players, I'm sure, would be a little bit uneasy about that, but it seems to be bringing out the best in him.
Well, it's not an ideal situation. I do know a lot of players. I think Carl Leaburn at Charlton's been on a week-to-week for a couple of years now, but the one factor that you're worried about, and it's something that Kevin should be aware of because he's had a little bit of a track record about it, is the injury situation. You know, it's all very well while you're playing. Suddenly you can get yourself a heavy-duty injury, and you're on a week-to-week situation. It's not ideal, but sometimes it brings out the better in people.
Well, I should think if he plays like he did last week, somebody is going to snap him up on a full-time basis pretty quickly.
Well, I think that'll probably be Stoke. It's just one of those things where they can't agree at the moment, but the better somebody's playing, sooner or later they'll sit down and thrash a deal out before somebody does swoop in.
Well, I mentioned at the start of the programme that these are two of the in-form teams. Let's have a look at Charlton's recent run of form. 16 goals in their last 4 games. The only setback was at the end of September when Stockport beat them at the Valley, despite Paul Mortimer scoring an absolute scream, and that was his goal in the space of a few days.
Yeah, he was running that game up until he went off just in the second half injured, and Stockport got 3 goals in very, very quick succession.
What can we read into a result like that?
Well, I think from Alan Kirbishley's point of view, the manager will be looking today to make sure there's no mistake, because I think they could have gone second or third at that game, and Stockport at home, with all due respect, they probably felt that they would win comfortably, and he'll be looking to make sure there's no slip up of that.
Well, they showed real character just a week after that home defeat to go across London to Loftus Road and put 4 past Queen's Park.
Well, they've only played 4 home games and 6 away, and they've scored lots of goals away, and they're winning away from home, and you know, in the past there's been these, dare I say, unfashionable games where they haven't played so well at the Valley, and it's been the sort of the big games that they've raised themselves for. So I'm sure Alan will be aware of that, and I think the goals, the fact that they're scoring goals and they're confident at the moment, the start's going to be very, very important.
That was a terrific goal from Mendonca in midweek, wasn't it?
It shows, you know, a class finish from a class player, really, Clive, and knew exactly what he was doing.
I suppose you have to bear in mind the fact that Huddersfield are struggling at the bottom of the table, but they've had 2 or 3 very big away wins. I remember Mendonca getting a hat-trick at Charlton. They are buzzing, no question about that.
Yeah, I would say John Robinson getting very far forward there, and he'll still have the energy there to run back to the halfway line to be in position to go again.
Well, here's their graph, and it's an upward curve in recent weeks. They dropped just a little bit to 14th after 5 games, but then 9th, 6th, down to 9th, up to 4th, and if they win today, they will go 2nd. And here's confirmation of their statistics. Played 10, won 6, drawn 1, lost 3. 23 goals, that's the most in the division, and only Peterborough, I think, in all 3 nationwide divisions, have scored more than them. They have conceded 14, and that'll give Stoke just a little bit of hope. Mendonca with 8, Phil Chapple, Steve Jones and John Robinson all with 3 apiece, and Steve Brown and Paul Mortimer have weighed in with 2. Let's hear from the manager, Alan Kirbishley.
Alan, when you look at your recent record, the home defeat against Stockport sticks out like a sore thumb. Was that a kick at the backside you needed?
Yeah, I think so. I think that we let ourselves down badly. You know, although Stockport have gone on and done very well since, we was 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go, and it should have been took care of, and we didn't do it. And we've had to bounce back. We had to go and beat QPR and beat Huddersfield to put us in this position. And here we come again today, another home game.
They've long had this reputation for playing good football. You must be delighted that you're scoring goals now.
Yeah, I think that was always a big problem for us, and the good thing about the goal scoring at the moment is it's being shared around, and all sorts of players are getting them. And the fact is as well is that we've been coping with 5 or 6 injuries for most of the season, like everybody else. But the players have come in, have done really well, and you know, kept the thing going.
Now, like yourselves, Stoke on a good run. How do you rate them?
I think they're a very strong, disciplined side, and I do feel that this will be a tough old game today. And although I'd like to say there'll be a few goals in it, I'm not too sure about that. But certainly, whenever we've played Stoke, it's been tough, and we're expecting a hard game.
Yeah, in recent years, they've really got one over on you, haven't they?
Well, there's that man Sharon who's really had it over us, and I'm glad he ain't playing today. But yeah, we don't get much when we go up to Stoke, but I think we've fared a little bit better here. But certainly, both teams can see a chance of really pushing further up the table today. So that's a big game.
Thanks a lot, Al.
Well, he's become part of the furniture, of course. Originally it was Alan Kirbishley and Steve Gripp, but certainly he's been given the opportunity, and Gary, this season, it looks as though he just might take it.
Yeah, Charlton's been one of those clubs that's never been prepared to sort of sack an abundance of managers, and Alan's doing a great job there, along with Les Reed, the coach. The whole club, the way it's set up, is moving forward. Tremendous training facilities, soccer academies. Now he's probably one of the longest serving in the division, and is doing a fine job.
Well, of course, Stoke had a change of management in the summer. Lou Macari went, Chick Bates came in, hasn't seemed to have affected them. Here's their recent... We may actually show a slightly misleading story, because here they lose 1-0 at Nottingham Forest. Unluckily, by all accounts, the crowd were getting on the Forest players' backs before Campbell headed the only goal. But they have won 6 of their last 8. That's the key statistic to remember. And they were in flourishing form against Bury. Peter Thorne has been scoring a lot of their goals. The fact that he's missing today is obviously a big setback for them.
I think the front two of, as you say, Thorne, and I think normally Stuart plays up there, who's very experienced. So I don't think they've got their front two. 4 goals away from home. Could be a big factor.
Well, Bury are a hard team to beat, as has been proven more than once this season. It's a super finish rate from Thorne, isn't it? Swindon was very upset when they lost him. He'd scored goals at Blackburn, worked alongside Alan Shearer. I think that Thorne was the leading goal scorer in the Blackburn reserves when Shearer was banging them away for the first team, so he had a good mentor to learn plenty from. I love watching that penalty from Andy Gray. And now we see the game that we watched this time last week. Beautiful start, Forsyth with a header, and Stoke drawn 2, lost 3. Scoring goals, a slight problem despite Peter Thorne, only 12. It is a worry, but they have only conceded 11 in the 10 games. Apart from Thorne, Kavanagh with 5, Forsyth with 4, Kevin Keane with a couple, and then Paul Stewart has had these injury problems, and Jose Andrede. What does Chick Bates have to say about it all? He's now with them.
Chick, generally, how satisfied are you with your start to the season?
Quite satisfied, Alan. Picked it up lately. Been playing really well at home, and had some good away results. Winning at Middlesbrough early in the season, and Ipswich a few weeks ago. We obviously look forward to today's game against Charlton.
But the midweek defeat against Leeds, were you still satisfied with the performance?
Certainly was. Over 90 minutes it was very evenly balanced. Leeds just had the edge in extra time. Perhaps a bit of tiredness from my players from the Vale game last Sunday. But over 90 minutes I was very pleased with my side's performance.
Now, as for yourself, you had a spell in charge at Shrewsbury, also caretaker boss once in a while at Stoke. How much are you enjoying it now since July?
Well, I'm enjoying it now. The results are going well. But in fairness, it's gone on a pre-season. The lads have really settled under me. Got a terrific response from them. And we're playing some good football, which is how I like to see the game played.
Now looking to them.
They go to Sunderland at Huddersfield in midweek. A comfortable 3-0 win. The highest goal scorers in this division, so they're going to be a threat. It should be a cracking game. In recent years, you've had the Indians sign over them, but Mike Sherrin's been the man who scored the goals. He's gone now. How are you going to do it? Well, I'm going to do it with the players who are out there today. Unfortunately, Peter Thorne's injured and Paul Stewart. But Jeremy McMahon and Jose Andrede will be up there. And they'll be a threat to the Charlton defence this afternoon. Check. Thanks.
Well, Chick Bates admits that Charlton are a good side. They are, of course, the league's leading scorers, and just recently they have really been on fire in front of goal. Of course, the big danger when you show a montage like that is that they all fire blanks this afternoon. I don't think that's going to happen. Clive Mendonca is a very confident man, and I know he's particularly fancying his chances this afternoon. The former Charlton striker, Gary Nelson, is my guest today. What is going to happen? It would seem, bearing in mind the injuries, that Charlton are going to start as perhaps even firmer favourites than the odds a few minutes ago suggested.
Yeah, I feel that the injuries that the two lads, the Stoke lads, have got up front are going to be a key factor. This. I think a very important start for Charlton. If they get the tempo right, they'll be prepared to be patient, but I think they've got that goal power. I think that the two lads on the wide side will be getting forward. I think it looks like a home victory on the face of it.
And there speaks a former Charlton man. You said we saw the Stockport game a few weeks ago when, again, it was a very similar situation. They could have gone second or third if they won, and perhaps they froze on the day. That experience may well help them this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't think Alan will want to repeat that at all, and he'll be, in his team talk, I'm sure he'll be stressing that point, that the last time against Stockport was a great chance for them to go out and get 3 points, and they didn't. And don't make the same mistake twice. OK, we're going to settle back and see if Charlton can fulfil Gary's prediction. Our commentators, as always, on a glorious afternoon in South London, Alan Brazil and Rob Hawthorne.
Yes, it's an unbelievably glorious day for mid to late October, and in terms of league form, both of these teams should be buzzing in the heat. Charlton could go a point behind the leaders, Nottingham Forest, if they win today, and Stoke Allen should really be buoyant after that win in the Potteries derby.
Yeah, I watched most of that, and it was a cracking match. Stoke, great start to the season. Chick Bates must be absolutely delighted, and they're up there, and if they get a win today as well, you know, they're on the heels of the leaders.
Well, let's have a look at the two teams, and Charlton are without defender Steve Brown, who's suspended. Brown, who followed up his goal here against Bradford with another at Huddersfield in midweek, has collected 5 yellow cards along the way. So his place in defence goes to the former Norwich man Mark Bowen, who left West Ham for a short and relatively unhappy spell in Japan last season, but is making his first start for Charlton today. Captain Stuart is still out with a knee injury, so Phil Chapple continues alongside Richard Rufus at the back.
4-4-2. Forward to see Mark, ex-Norwich City, as you're saying, Rob. Likes to get forward, Mark. Alongside him, Rufus and Chapple. I like this fella, Rufus. We're told about Premiership managers looking at him. Quick, good, strong, good in the air as well. And Chapple, big tall lad alongside him. Midfield, this is where it's going to be a great battle today. This fella, Sean Newton, I like him. Very, very fast down the right-hand side. Likes to link up with Mendonca and Jones. And in the middle, Kinsella. He can hit them. Let's fly. Alongside Kinsella, Robinson, who last time we're here, man of the match. Up front, Jones, and danger man Clive Mendonca.
Well, Stoke are still without their leading scorer, Peter Thorne. The foot injury that kept him out in midweek. So Jerry McMahon will play through the middle along with Jose Andrede. The absence of Thorne is the only change from the side that coped so admirably with the intense derby atmosphere last week. On the bench, the Macari connection continues with Stoke, despite former manager Lou's departure. His son Paul, who's been prolific for the reserves, may be seen at some point in this game.
Everfield, Stoke City, 4-4-2 for Stoke. Chick Bates, as I said, delighted with his sides form. Great win over Port Vale. And in the centre of defence, Sigurdsson, this line to Icelandic, big, strong, tough. Alongside the Scot, Tweed. Big, tall lad, likes to win the balls in there. And again in midfield, this is where Stoke, I think, are strong. Keane on the right-hand side, excellent against Port Vale. Kavanagh, who's really beginning to perform now. Just Wallace alongside him. And Forsyth, watch for Forsyth getting in here when the ball goes wide. Tries to get in between the two centre-forward. Quite good in the air, can finish. Good passer of the ball. Andrede alongside ex-Spurs McMahon.
Well, after the prefabricated buildings that were the dressing rooms last season, they now have the luxury of the proper facilities. Stoke enjoying them for the first time, and they'll certainly enjoy the day here because it's a cracking day in South London. As referee Roger Furnandiz leads out the two teams. Well, too often in the past, Charlton seem to have staged escapes from promotion. This time they're hoping that they're at the top end to stay. Stoke will provide a stern test for them, though, so it should be an interesting clash after the break. Charlton against Stoke City.
Strikers will still prove a very tough obstacle to pass. Let's rejoin Alan and Rob.
And Charlton, the leading scorers in the division, and the leading scorer is Clive Mendonca, who now needs just one goal to reach his 100th in league football. He's got 8 this season. Thorn, but he's not playing today, so Jerry McMahon takes on the major responsibility for a Stoke side whose last 5 goals against today's opponents have been scored by Mike Sheeran, but he'll do them no good today after his move to Queen's Park Rangers in the summer. Stoke in the change strip of green will get the game underway, and Jose Andrede, who's making his first start in a league match away from home, and McMahon get the game underway, and Kavanagh immediately looks for Kevin Keane, who was such an influential figure in the Potteries derby last weekend and scored one of the goals in that 2-1 win. Neat layoff by Steve Jones for Mendonca, but there is Stephen Tweed, a strong figure at the back for Stoke City. Andrede putting a little bit of pressure on Rufus and Phil Chapple. But Rufus is a composed player at the best of times, and that's why, as Alan mentioned in the build-up to this game, so many Premiership teams have reportedly been watching him.
Yeah, good player, quick, decisive. I think he's topping a lot as well.
The two taking the throw-in is Ali Pickering. This is Laris Sigurdsson, who enjoyed a good weekend when Iceland's victory in the World Cup was followed up by that Potteries derby win. So he figured in both. Here's Forsyth.
I think he's a decent player, the fellow on the ball there, Rob Forsyth. Loves to get it to feet, good passer.
Graham Kavanagh. Griffin, a prospect for whom they hold out great hope at the Britannia Stadium, brought down there by Sean Newton.
Yeah, just a little bit late here, isn't he? Actually, to be fair to Newton, he does get the ball. Goodness me, Griffin doesn't have to go down heavy to this chap. Look at that.
The referee obviously saw that he got the ball and awarded the throw-in as opposed to the kick. Now there's Steve. Well, he may just have been knocked out of his stride there by the Icelander Sigurdsson.
Steve Jones will be bitterly disappointed. That was a glorious chance. I thought when he got across Sigurdsson, he was almost too casual. Does well here, get, but he's just a little bit too casual for me there.
Sigurdsson much relieved. Kinsella's corner, Chapple going for it. Powerfully headed away. Against Chapple, goal kick.
Yeah, good start for the home side, immediately putting Stoke under pressure. Disappointed here. He's got his yard now. Out comes the goalkeeper, decides to go round him, but watch this. I just thought he just took a little bit too long there and drags his shot. Sigurdsson, he'll be unhappy, getting the wrong side of Jones. Almost thought he was going to try and maybe get a foot in there, that could have been a pen. But Jones drags it right across the goal.
He's a strong character, Steve Jones. There were a lot of good performances when we were last here for their victory against Bradford, and his partnership with Mendonca looked particularly promising. And Jones will be well aware of the snapping at his heels for that place, with Bradley Allen on the substitutes bench today on the road back from injury. Keane. Here's Sigurdsson.
Kavanagh trying to get forward as well. Andrede, you know, he's a big, tall, ranging type striker. just catching, just two of them maybe in a line there. But Kavanagh and Forsyth do like to get forward for Stoke City.
Barness. There's Pickering. Barness running it out for the throw. Good atmosphere here at the Valley on what has been prescribed as Red Day. The crowd encouraged to come in red tops, not necessarily replica kits, but coming in those colours leads to discounts around the bars and restaurants. Breaks down. Griffin looking to slip it through to Andrede, which he succeeded in doing, and that's too long for McMahon.
Good break there from Stoke. And McMahon made the run right through the middle and was all alone, and Andrede couldn't pick him out. Good break again from Stoke, very quick on the counter, and look at that, a perfectly flighted ball, and McMahon was in.
Looking for Forsyth.
It's going to be interesting now because Charlton are trying to push up all the time. There's some nice runs been made from this Stoke City midfield, and I think they're going to catch them.
Well, Stoke did win here last season. In fact, they completed a league double over Charlton. One of only two sides to win at the Valley in the last 16 league games here, Stoke. A very strong team. Chick Bates has tried to put his own mark on it since he took over from Macari.
Hard-working player Jones makes good runs. Gives his midfield players good options.
Newton leaving the throw. It'll be taken by Mark Bowen. Here's Mendonca. He'll be quick on the turn and getting his cross in beyond Tweed. It was Wallace behind him who was covering.
I think Tweed was a little bit scared there because he put his hands in there with that turn from Mendonca. It was definitely contact.
Mendonca. Here's Keith Jones. Robinson. Last time he came here, he was performing on the right. He's going to switch back to the left with Newton having returned from suspension. Charlton have an injury worry at the moment. Newton, I think, is the player lying injured on the ground. Roger Furnandiz, who's today's match official from Doncaster, calling attention.
Yeah, he's calling the stretcher right away. I think Newton, it looks as if he's taking a knock to his back, or maybe just winded the way he's fallen. Absolutely, this afternoon.
Well, the stretcher called for, and first moment of concern for Alan Kirbishley after what has been a very bright start to this game by his team, and Steve Jones and Clive Mendonca, his strike partnership, have been doing the business.
I thought they might have Sonny's on today, Alan. There was a time last season where Alan was under a bit of pressure, I think. There's the challenge there. It's Tweed with a strong challenge. Hopefully Newton's going to be okay. Yeah, last year he was under a bit of pressure, Alan, but delighted with his young side now, the home fans.
Barness. Here's Pickering. Here's Pickering. Richard Rufus. Touchback was by Mendonca. Pickering is there, but straight to Anthony Barness. Challenged by McMahon. Here's Key. And he tried to slip Andrede through, but he was offside.
Yeah, good step up there from Mark Bowen. Andrede, he's a dangerous type player. He's looking to try and get in behind Rufus and Chapple. But look at Bowen just stepping up. Good defending.
Andrede, who's actually in his second spell with Stoke City, played 4 matches for them at the end of the 1994-5 season, but ended it with a bad injury, having scored 1 goal against Bristol City in that 4.
And Rufus keeping a close watch on him. I like the partnership between Rufus and Chapple, because Rufus has got pace, whereas Chapple, he attacks the ball, wins the headers, but can be exposed with a little bit lack of pace.
The pitch at the Valley, incidentally, is looking a lot more elegant than when we were here last, when a diseased area affected the quality of the surface for that game with Bradford, but the affected area was reseeded following the match against Stockport, and it seems to have settled down nicely for this game.
Once again, Rob, another good run from a Stoke midfield player. Ray Wallace this time getting forward and in behind Charlton.
Wallace, who's such a versatile player, started his career in defence, but really seems to have settled into his midfield role.
Bates has certainly given them an opportunity to get forward when you think it's on. Take a chance, take a gamble, go for it.
Pickering. Kevin Keane. It's an awkward one. Rufus up behind McMahon. Good play from Sigurdsson, and McMahon was onside but just couldn't latch onto it.
Good play there from Andrede as well. He just checked the run of Chapple to allow McMahon to try and get in. Just watch Andrede here, bang, just stops it, he just checks him. Unfortunately, McMahon, he can't get on it.
Andrede and McMahon, this makeshift partnership. McMahon normally more used to playing in a wide position, but they had to play him through the centre against Leeds in the week when Thorne was injured, and it's the role he's fulfilling again today. And it'll be interesting as the match goes on to see what effects that extra time encounter with Leeds, which they finally lost 3-1, will have on the legs of the Stoke side.
Especially as it's a nice warm afternoon.
Charlton had a midweek game of their own, but that was the day before that victory that they achieved at Huddersfield. That really has propelled them to prominence in the division, and they'll certainly be breathing down the necks of Nottingham Forest if they can get 3 points here today.
There's certainly a good confidence with this Charlton side. I think they believe, especially at home, they can take anyone apart.
Not too many mentioned them in dispatches when the forecasts were being made at the start of the season, but you'd certainly have to rate them as dark horses. Here's Kinsella with a free kick. Chapple and Rufus are forward for it. It's aimed towards Chapple.
He's had an outstanding game so far, Tweed. Hasn't missed a thing.
Header back was by Robinson. This is Pickering, tempting Newton towards him. Pickering giving away the throw.
This big fella, Scottish, commanding, good in the air.
He is Scottish, but they picked him up on a free transfer from a Greek club, and Stoke certainly benefiting from the Bosman ruling in that particular deal. It was brought from Ionikos.
I think Stoke will be happy with this start. You know, apart from the opening slip, you know, when Charlton got in behind them, I think they've settled down nicely, Stoke. I think they're just a little bit better in the midfield area than the home side. Mark Kinsella hasn't really had a chance to get in the game yet. Good playmaker for Charlton, but at the moment quiet.
Kinsella's header. There's Andy Griffin. Pickering. Header back is by McMahon. Picked up by Wallace for the throw. after pressuring the goalkeeper. That may have given him some encouragement. Here's Steve Jones. Sigurdsson sticking with him, forcing him wide.
Yeah, the two strikers for Charlton. I think Jones is the one who's looking more lively.
He's won the corner.
And saying that, Mendonca, you give him a chance, and it hits the back of the net.
I wonder if he might get the chance from this. Big guns have come forward from the back to join him in there. Rufus and Chapple. Kinsella aiming to find one of them. And he has found Chapple, but again, Tweed was there to make sure he couldn't get a clean header. Keane. Wallace. Andrede. Foul was on Keith Jones. Only Chapple has gone forward this time. Rufus has stayed back. Barness looking towards him. Here's Robinson. Challenge on the edge was by Keane, and Barness not clearing the first man, who was McMahon, with his cross.
Yeah, Robinson was very angry there. I thought it was a good challenge by Keane.
Barness. King, who, after that display against Port Vale last week, has sorted out his future with the club. He was on a week-to-week contract, but has now agreed a new 2-year deal. And after what he showed last week, I think the Stoke fans will be grateful of that. And so will the manager, Chick Bates, who was relieved to sort out his future.
He'll be pleased with his start.
Here's Mark Bowen. Bowen, a player with a lot of experience in the English league, but was taken out to Japan by Ozzy Ardiles and found himself a lot of the time surplus to requirements because they had 4 foreign players on their books and could only use 3 at any one time. Chapple.
They're taking no chances. Chapple there was put under a bit of pressure. Loves to attack the ball. Good, strong in the air.
He's had a cracking goal-scoring record as well as Phil Chapple, 3 already this season. Despite not having a regular place in the side, very often finds himself sidelined when Rufus and Palmer are fit, but as he showed again there, when he does come in, he does all that is required of him. Here's Andrede. He's gone for goal! And he really wasn't very far away.
I think Petterson touched that, you know. I think that was in. I think that's a great save. He's going to get away with it. It's going to be a goal kick, but I'm certain he gets a touch on this. Great strike from Andrede. Very, very close. Good strike through the legs. Petterson dives to his right. Oh, just misses past the post.
Well, the best or closest we've come really to a goal so far in the game. Jose Andrede just causing that scare for Charlton.
I think the midfield, you know, you were saying earlier, Robert, I think that's going to be a good battle today. I think Stoke look a little bit more solid.
Robinson. Fancy footwork from Pickering. This is Keane.
That's what Andrede wants. He wants it out in the flanks to drag Chapple out there. And I think he might just have the legs on Chapple.
Nice play from Charlton. Here's Mendonca. Newton has continued his run out to the left. Steve Jones is pulled out to the right. Mendonca's gone steaming into the middle with Newton, and the cross is beyond both of them, leading Robinson to follow up. 3 still waiting in the area, and that's beyond all of them.
Yeah, Robinson, a couple of balls he's knocked in the box, trying to find Jones at the far post. But twice now Robinson's overhit them. Good movement again from Jones, and that's not a bad ball. He might just catch someone coming in at the far post, maybe a bit long, but when Robinson tries to return it to Jones, that's much too overhit. I see a little bit more of McMahon, Jeremy McMahon through there, Rob, because he has got genuine pace, loves to run at people. At the moment, it's the big fella Andrede who's doing all the making Rufus and Chapple's life a misery.
Wallace. Clearance was by Barness. Griffin. Cleared by Bowen. Kavanagh. Here's Keane. Being forced wide by Kinsella.
Charlton, plenty of shots around the ball there, getting back Kinsella.
Good tenacity shown by the former Colchester man. Kinsella actually made his 50th appearance for Charlton in the week against Huddersfield, which led to the final instalment being paid on his move from Colchester. Rufus.
Charlton just having a little job getting out, you know. They're defending deep at the moment, and I'm not really getting the clearances away.
Andrede. Chapple across ahead of Richard Forsyth. Newton. Steve Jones. And here's Robinson. Again, the red shirts swarm forward. Kinsella. Newton was calling for it out on the right, but a complete breakdown there involving Keith Jones, who looked back to Chapple. Here's Bowen.
Stoke are well organised here. They're quick to get behind the ball.
This is good link up though between Newton and Bowen. It's Bowen's cross. It needed a good ball to Mendonca, and Tweed was there.
Well, he's going to rock back there, hasn't he, Tweed?
This time it's the goalkeeper's ball, but yes, you're right. Tweed has really taken his defensive duties by the scruff of the neck.
Big lad, isn't he, alongside Sigurdsson? I think it's a good pairing.
And Mendonca had turned away from Sigurdsson. Griffin has come back to cover. Tweed is there too, but Steve Jones has found the gap. Well, he worked himself into a position, and it was Graham Kavanagh who had to come back to aid the defence.
Yeah, once again, Jones causing the problems, but Kavanagh was very quick to get back to help his two centre-halves out. Jones gets a lucky little break here, and just when he's thinking about a right-foot shot, over comes Kavanagh.
Kinsella taking his first one from this side, looking for Chapple. Pickering was there. Newton. Chapple.
I think Newton's getting a little bit frustrated, you know, giving that free kick away there. Loves to get the ball wide, use his pace, but at the moment he's not getting the ball, and I just feel these midfield players, Kinsella and Keith Jones, are not seeing enough of the ball.
Stoke are making life particularly hard for them. Certainly had the upper hand in this fixture in recent times. They've lost just one of the last 7 league meetings, Stoke. 5 of those have been won. And they've managed to absorb everything so far that Charlton have thrust in their direction.
Well, they look fairly solid. Just that first couple of minutes when Jones got in behind them. Apart from that, they've been rock solid. Charlton have just got to up the tempo now.
Concerned viewer. only real upset that they've had at home in the league so far this season was against Stockport County. Alec obviously feels that was a game that they should have won. 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go when their roof caved in. Here's Pickering with the throw-in.
Really is like summer's day, isn't it?
A very continental atmosphere as well, with the drums ringing out.
Chance for Stoke to get the ball in the box now. That drum's driving me potty, by the way. It's Sigurdsson and Tweed getting themselves up there into the box. This is dangerous for Charlton.
Forward goes Stephen Tweed. Already been very effective at one end. Can he be just as effective at the other? It's Keane with a free kick. The flick back was by Tweed, and Forsyth found it just above him.
Sneaks in the box well for Forsyth. Cracking goal against Vale with a head.
It was a goal that came early in the game. We're past the halfway mark of the first half, and still the breakthrough in this one has to occur.
Really expected Charlton as the game went on to grow more and more confident and push forward. But Stoke, who I think are finding the most confidence.
Forsyth driving it in towards Tweed. Chapple is there. Here's Griffin.
Good header from Chapple.
Griffin. There's Chapple. Kavanagh. There's Kavanagh. Really what Tweed has done at one end, Chapple has done at the other. Not much has got past him so far. Kinsella. Here's Sean Newton. Kinsella. Mendonca. Crowd made him aware that Robinson was free to his left, but the ball did the Welsh international few favours, and Mendonca knows that. More football coming up for you on Sky. After this one, Tottenham against Sheffield Wednesday in Super Sunday at 3 o'clock. The side's under pressure just above the relegation zone. And then Monday night football, Barnsley against Coventry. That's from 7 o'clock on Sky Sports 1.
I think the game needs a goal now, Rob, doesn't it? It's a little bit scrappy.
Sigurdsson. Keith Jones. Bowen. Aiming to find Mendonca, and he has. And Pickering quickly across, just as the fans were getting out of their seats, expecting a goal on his full debut from Bowen. Good cover though.
Matt Bowen he can hit them as well. You know, in his Norwich days he scored many a goal. Just the first time he's got an advanced position.
Remember Bowen scoring a particularly memorable one against Bayern Munich that helped them to win in that cracking result that they achieved in the Olympic Stadium. Turned away by Keane. Fairly even in terms of possession, but Stoke will be far happier with that.
Definitely, away from home, you want to look solid, you know, defend, get behind the ball. But they also look sharp on their break, I think. You know, they love to get the midfield players forward. And they're all comfortable on the ball.
There's Steve Jones. Newton.
I've got to see a bit more of Newton. Newton has got tremendous ability, but a little bit anonymous so far.
Well, it's over a decade since Stoke City were last in the top division, and the closest they've come to returning to those former heights was a couple of seasons ago when they and Charlton were actually losing semi-finalists in the playoffs. Charlton lost to Crystal Palace, Stoke to Leicester.
Skills from Pickering. Jones again working tremendously hard. He does put himself about.
Wallace. Pickering. Wallace, Andrede and McMahon in the box. Forsyth was in there too, but it's headed clear to Kavanagh. He's won the corner.
Stoke fans behind the goal. Very happy at the moment as Stoke press forward again. Kavanagh was thinking about bursting the back of the net with the left foot there, just closed down.
And coming forward for this first corner for Stoke City is Stephen Tweed.
As you were saying there, Rob, Forsyth at the far post, he does love, he looks there all the time, he tries to just sneak in. Tweed now going to the near post.
Keane with a kick. Rufus's ball. Wallace. Here's Kavanagh. Well, Kavanagh can hit them, but he was shaping up to return that to Keane. Not the ball he intended, though. Forsyth wanting to get on with it. Andrede. Forsyth.
Again, Chapple, good heading out.
Pickering. Here's Wallace. Well, Kinsella sees control of the situation.
Again, Stoke have it back now.
Sigurdsson. Steve Jones is really pressing and harrying the Stoke defence.
Definitely crisper passers, aren't they, Stoke? Very confident on the ball.
It's a frustrating afternoon if you haven't got the ball. These strength-sapping conditions, and the perspiration is beginning to shine through, certainly on the Stoke shirts.
How many passes is this? And you Charlton won't mind, because you know, it's all right passing the ball on the halfway line. You can't hurt us there.
Robinson. More couple of thrusts needed now from Charlton. Can Steve Jones provide? Mendonca on his own at the edge of the area. This is Kinsella. Newton. Mendonca. And he's tricked his way past Tweed. And he's still going through, and Sigurdsson in the end has to turn it behind.
Tell you what, Rob, it was a great turn, wasn't it, from Mendonca? But Tweed, to be fair to him again, he was beat for the first turn, but somehow still got back. This is good play, backing in. Great turn. There is a little bit of contact there, but Tweed and Forsyth. And then Sigurdsson eventually get it clear.
Kinsella's corner. Chapple.
He's going for another corner. Chapple just wants a nice flighted ball at the far post.
Well, this is one area where they have established supremacy with a number of corners that they've won. Charlton. Mendonca in there again, aiming to cause some damage. Beyond Rufus, headed away by Sigurdsson. Newton. Here's Keith Jones. Chapple.
Yeah, he decided to stay in the box, then he just get his head to that. And Muggleton had to go scurrying back. Jones whips the ball in, right-footed. Chapple with a header, looping header, but Muggleton had that covered. Good ball, bit of pace in the ball, and over the top.
Phil Chapple, who scored in the games against Wolves and Norwich and then found himself dropped for the next game, which we did here against Bradford, but made a scoring return as a substitute against Queen's Park Rangers, making up his 3 for the season so far.
Good crowd here, Rob, isn't there? You know, it's lovely. Obviously the weather brings people out, but it's good atmosphere, apart from that drum.
Well, they've made a great gesture here today by admitting children to the home areas for £1, so maybe it was with the money that they saved that they could afford to buy the drum.
I'm giving him a bit of stick. I shouldn't do. He's enjoying himself. He's just spoiling it for everyone else.
Rufus. Barness.
Again, every green shot behind the body, behind the ball.
Mendonca. Bowen is linked up quite nicely on that right-hand side with Newton, but the route to him that time was blocked. Here he is now, though, from Kinsella's ball. Can't get away from Forsyth. Well, couldn't the first time, did the second, but Griffin was there.
Yeah, they're definitely doubling up on them over there, aren't they? Forsyth and Griffin doing a good job.
Bowen. Looking for Kinsella. The header away was by Tweed. Can they save the corner? Pickering thought he had, but he hadn't.
Yeah, Tweed just got the touch, didn't he? Pickering tried to keep it in, but I think it was over the line. Just there, you can see clearly. Who can Kinsella pick out?
Steve Jones was going for it, but well cleared again by the Stoke defence, which has been well marshalled in those situations. Bowen. Robinson. Kinsella. Robinson, is he going to have a go? He is, and it's wide.
Yeah, I think maybe it would be better if it was the other way around. Maybe Robinson laying the ball to Kinsella, because Kinsella can really hit them. But Robinson, he catches this. Kinsella just lays it in his path, on the right foot, drills it, keeps it low. But Muggleton had that covered. Just a yard or so wide. Good strike, just no accuracy.
John Robinson, the Welsh international. Charlton just ahead on attempts at the moment, but the goalkeeper still to be seriously troubled. The biggest scare really was for Petterson from Andrede's effort early on.
We're definitely going to get one. It can't be a 0-0. Famous last words.
Well, I'm going to add now to your tempting of fate by saying that Charlton have been involved in only one goalless match so far this season against Bury. But they've been rattling up goals at a fair old rate. Only Peterborough in the Nationwide League have scored more. Foul there by Tweed.
Oh, no, you can't do that. That's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy, you know, he's been having such a good game. I think he realises now, what have I done? You can't kick the ball away like that, right under the nose of the ref. No, he definitely catches Mendonca, doesn't he? With the left foot, but he was getting away with that. There was no card coming for that. But then, watch this. The referee's right next to him, and all of a sudden Tweed says, oh, I'm not having that, and kicks it away.
Undoubtedly full of remorse now, but the deed is done. The yellow card shown.
I think that must infuriate managers. You don't mind getting booked for a strong challenge, but when you do things like that...
I've said before how Kinsella can strike a ball, and he's there, and here he is. The wall had come out far enough to take the sting out of it.
And that's a tight match.
Kinsella scored a couple of crackers last season on Sky against Newcastle in the Cup, and then in the final ever game at Burnden Park against Bolton.
Free kicks, haven't it? It's not been a dirty game, you know, but it's a few niggly little free kicks.
And we've only really had the trainers on the field once to sort out Sean Newton, so there probably isn't to be too much stoppage time added on at the end of this first half. Rufus. It's Keith Jones to Steve Jones. And he's really going to test Sigurdsson here.
Good effort again from Jones. Doing all the closing himself. Mendonca's been a bit quiet.
Yes, I was about to say Mendonca's transfer stole all the headlines, but really Steve Jones, the junior partner maybe in the strike force, has been getting through a fair amount of work. Well, the foot of Sigurdsson appeared to be high, but the advantage played. This is Steve Jones.
Again, Stoke. Plenty of bodies back there again. Keane doing the defensive duties this time.
Rufus defending here against Andrede. Well, we've been mentioning Mendonca being quiet, but that really is when you start to write him off at your peril, because he's already shown us with 1 or 2 sharp turns just how much of a danger he could still be.
Oh, there's no doubt he's a box player. He loves to sort of back into centre-halves around the box, twist and turn them. His partner Jones is getting through most of the work on the hold-up play and the balls over the top.
There's Barness. Charlton playing with 2 right-footers down the left-hand side, Barness and Robinson.
I wonder if that's Alan Kirbyshire likes that, because Mark Bowen's a left footer and he's on the right full-back.
Pickering. Kavanagh. Rufus aiming to set Mendonca away. Sigurdsson hoping it had got enough, but it hasn't gone out. Mendonca rescued it. Kinsella. Well, Sigurdsson was hoping that it would go out, but Mendonca certainly wasn't going to give it up as a lost cause, and his perseverance there almost paid off.
I was just about to say it's obstruction, because you could see Sigurdsson looking for Mendonca, gets his body between Mendonca and the ball, but then this is good play. Mendonca just says, thank you very much, I'll have that.
McMahon. Away from Chapple, this is good play from McMahon. Andrede and Wallace in the box, cleared by Rufus.
Yeah, I think he was trying to find Wallace there. McMahon delayed it, trying to give Wallace a chance to get in the box. In the end, Chapple got back.
Bowen had tried to release Steve Jones, but the flag was up for offside against him.
First time we've really seen McMahon shows a bit of flair. Good skills. Just suddenly decides, right, let's get at them. And he looks over, he can see Wallace, but he's just delaying it to try and give Wallace a chance to get in the box. And Chapple got back well.
Well, he's playing with the Portuguese colleague today, and last weekend McMahon was involved in action against Portugal for Northern Ireland, came on for the last 12 minutes of that World Cup qualifier.
He might just be finding it a little bit difficult in the central position, trying to hold it up against 2 big centre halves like Rufus and Chapple. But when he gets it wide, he suddenly comes alive.
Andrade's foot too high, making contact with Richard Rufus, and there's not much air there to protect him.
And the ref just warning Andrede there, saying, hey, any more of that, you know what you're getting.
Bowen with the free kick. Cleared by Keane. Andrede. Keith Jones.
I think it's the key to Charlton's success today, down this right-hand side with Bowen, and obviously Sean Newton, but not the balls like that, man.
No, it was an intelligent run that had been made by Newton. He thought he'd made up ground on Griffin. Service not what he wanted. Well, when Stoke won here last January, they went up to 5th in the table and really had high hopes of making the playoffs last season, but their form tailed off towards the end of the campaign. Just 6 of their remaining 20 matches were won, and it was that disappointing fall off that saw them end up in mid-table. Here's Keane. Pickering. Barness. Kinsella aiming for Newton.
Now he's got a chance to run. Bit of space.
Got to do it all on his own. Bowen behind him. Here's Keith Jones. Number 3, Barness, using the width provided by Robinson.
Again, Robinson's cross let them down. That's the third one. He's obviously aware of Jones's aerial ability, and he's just trying to, you know, set them up on the far post, but again overhit. I think his bench were giving him a bit of stick there. I know, he said.
Well, Robinson will be as disappointed as anyone. They've been getting into all the right sort of areas. Chapple. Here's Newton.
Griffin's definitely keeping Newton quiet, isn't he? Andrew Griffin knows the threat that Newton has with his pace, but you'll find Griffin's fairly fast himself.
Here's Robinson. He's gone for it!
Yeah, drifting over to the other side of the field this time, John Robertson. Has a quick look. Muggleton getting back on the right foot. Good strike, but just too high. Drifting in from the left wing. Suddenly in the inside right position, thumping one.
Rufus. Barness. There goes the half-time whistle, and Stoke, I'm sure, will be happier about the state of affairs with a scoreless first half. Andrede going close for them early on with a shot that was just wide, but Charlton have threatened themselves, and as the half wore on, their strike partnership of Mendonca and Steve Jones caused some problems, but at half-time it's 0-0.
And it really has been a 0-0 sort of half. 6 attempts at goal, none of them on target, which rather says it all. 6 corners to 1 in favour of the home side. A few niggly challenges, nothing serious. The one booking, Stephen Tweed of Stoke, he was very apologetic after the incident, which was good to see. Kicked the ball away rather foolishly. Charlton have attacked considerably more than their opponents without threatening on terribly many occasions, and they've edged it in terms of possession as well. We did promise a goal feast. We couldn't have been more wrong, so far at least. Still 45 minutes to go. Gary Nelson, the former Charlton striker, is with me. Say something positive about that half, Gary.
Well, I think from the two managers' point of view, I think Chick Bates will probably be the more satisfied, although Charlton have had the edge in possession going forward. Worked very hard, I think, Stoke, and worked very hard to close Charlton down. Look neat and tidy in midfield. Going forward, they don't seem to pose that too much of a threat. I think the quality of Charlton's balls, particularly from crossing areas, needs to be better. They do look a threat, looking at Chapple for set pieces. And when they have got in behind the Stoke back four, you know, they could have had a chance very early on with Steve Jones. But yeah, I'd have to say Alan's probably going to be a little bit disappointed with that first half display, and I think he'll be emphasising those points in the dressing room at half time.
Stoke are, of course, missing their 2 first-choice strikers, Stuart and Thorne, but Andrede, in the side, almost scored with a shot that skimmed inches past the post there, Gary.
Yeah, Phil Chapple got caught a little bit side-on square there, decided to lunge. He's hit that shot, heavy shadow in there, and it's a bit dewy, and it skidded off the surface. I'm sure he thought that it was a goal as soon as he hit it, but thankfully, from Charlton's point of view, it just went inches past.
We said a lot about Clive Mendonca before the game, but actually his strike partner, Steve Jones, has perhaps looked the more lively, and in just the second minute, he had a good opportunity.
Yeah, Steve's an actually right-footed player there, and he's wanting to get it on his right foot, but if actually he'd have taken it onto his left there, he would have made a better angle for himself.
Mendonca has briefly threatened. This was perhaps his best moment.
Yeah, they've got a good turn there, causing all sorts of problems. If he'd have been a slightly less honest there, he might have gone down, because the lad did pull him back slightly, but I think Charlton need to see a little bit more of that from Clive, getting the ball into his feet in the box. Steve Jones has shown what an honest player he is there, and he's worked very hard. And I think they'll probably, you know, they need to up that a little bit more, I think, going forward.
Frustrating first 45 minutes for Charlton. Stoke will be fairly happy. We shall see what happens after the break. You suspect that Charlton will show just a little more firepower, but Stoke will know that one break and they could nick the points and they could be fourth by 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're back shortly. Awful lot in the first 45 minutes to get the supporters excited, which perhaps explains those rather long-drawn faces. Gary Nelson is with me. Gary, as well as being a former player and a top author, you tried your hand on the management side. Would you be tempted to make a change? Look at Charlton's substitutes. They've got Matty Holmes, Jamie Stuart, Bradley Allen.
I think you're looking at those 3 subs, you're probably looking at the person that might come on and change things as probably being Bradley Allen. I think Allen will be reluctant at the moment to change things. I think they're playing reasonably well, and I know they're going to get set pieces. I just think, again, coming back to the quality of the final ball, really.
I don't know what she's thought, whether she's a seasoned Charlton supporter by now. She would appear to be rather more concerned about her chocolate bar and her drink. He's enjoying a nice bit of fudge. And he's just hoping to raise his arms in celebration a little bit later and hopefully not spit the fudge all over the person sitting in front of him. The Stoke players slowly emerge. Chick Bates would have been encouraged with their first 45 minutes. And here's the roar as Charlton return. Don't forget, they are the league's leading scorers. So Stoke will have to beware, and so too those supporters in front of the drummers who have been banging out their message with alarming regularity. I hope Alan Brazil can still hear us. Let's rejoin him and Rob Hawthorne.
Yes, he's enjoying the drums very much, but we're a bit nervous about keep mentioning that Charlton are the leading scorers, because if that's not the kiss of death, then nothing is. However, we'll see if that record is justified in the second half, and certainly the drummer is doing his best to motivate some sort of reaction from the team.
I'm saying nothing. I'll be getting a letter from them.
They want you for lead vocals, apparently.
Well, let's hope we get a few goals, Rob. It's been good football being played, but you just need a breakthrough to open the game up.
It certainly has been encouraging to see a lot of young faces here at the Valley today, so it seems that their offer of £1 to get in has been taken up well, and that's a sort of atmosphere that should be encouraged. And what they want now, more than anything else, is a goal. And it's Charlton immediately on the attack with John Robinson, who got into useful positions a lot of times and does this time, and Newton can't finish. That time Robinson did get his cross in, and Newton couldn't take advantage of it.
Oh, Sean Newton, he's only 6 yards out here. This is a glorious opportunity. All alone, steals in, look at that, 6 yards out. He's only really got to make contact. Nod it down goalwards, and that would have been the opener. Good play from Robinson, and really that's a big chance.
Big chance for Sean Newton, and in that melee there was a bit of a knock for Stephen Tweed, who was just feeling his head, but he's a strong character, seems to have shrugged it off. First panic over for Stoke in the second half. Certainly it's been a dogged and industrious display by them so far. Charlton's openings have been limited. And it's been a very hard-working display. Sigurdsson looking for Jerry McMahon.
I think a point would certainly do Stoke today against high-flying Charlton. Chick Bates must have been impressed with the first half performance. Maybe look for a little bit more threat from this fella here.
Well, we have said that Charlton could go second if they win, but if Stoke were to be victorious here today, they'd go up to fourth in the table and would actually dislodge Charlton from that position. Big games coming up for Stoke. They're away to Manchester City on Wednesday, and then they have a home game on Saturday with Sunderland. Charlton have another home encounter to look forward to this week against Birmingham, Alan Kirbishley's old team. Here's Pickering. Andrede. Barness. Sigurdsson. Out to Keith Jones. Just diverted out of Steve Jones' path. Wallace. Keane. Charlton working hard to regain the initiative in the midfield, and Keith Jones' battlings have won the possession back for them, promptly given away. McMahon and Andrede desperate to stay onside, which he had done. Keane. Good work from Kevin Keane. And this is Griffin, 2 in the box. Forsyth, one of them. Rufus there first.
That's the first time we've seen Griffin forward, and twice he had opportunity to pick someone out. Couldn't do it. Lovely move, good play from Keane.
Barness. Charlton just trying to settle themselves after that spell of pressure and look to set Steve Jones away. Tweed, who's already on a yellow card, remember, has to be careful. And then Sigurdsson deals with Steve Jones.
Jones, his strike partner Mendonca was clear on his own. Had Jones managed to get the ball to him, but Tweed getting exposed here. Look at the determination on Jones here. If he'd have just reacted maybe a little bit quicker, Mendonca was just slightly over to his left. Good perseverance though.
Charlton picking up the threads in the second half where they left off in the first. Winning plenty of corners. Kinsella again to take. Rufus. Kinsella keeping it moving. Here's John Robinson. Taking on Kevin Keane.
Total mistake there. Pickering was very quickly over there to cover. Andrede again bending his run there, trying to steal in behind Chapple.
Well, it really is a gloriously sunny day, and you wonder what sort of effect those conditions might have on Stoke as the game presses on. Took Leeds to extra time in the week before being knocked out of the Coca-Cola Cup by 2 goals from Ray Wallace's brother, Rod. Here's Kavanagh showing plenty of energy with his run from midfield. McMahon and Andrede both in the box with him. And it's Wallace who's come forward, and that's a screamer of a goal from Ray Wallace.
That's what we wanted, and what a cracking goal. Great play from Kavanagh. Great composure as well to pick the run of Wallace out. Wallace, as soon as the ball goes wide, Wallace thinks, right, I'm getting up here to support. Kavanagh doesn't panic. Chapple just holds him. He's now arriving. Wallace coming on the scene late, but what a glorious finish. Right foot, get in. And that is a tremendous goal. Great strike, sweet as a nut.
Well, his brother may have grabbed the goal-scoring headlines in the week, but now Ray Wallace gets a slice of the action himself. And they were appealing for handball there against Andrede, not given. It's Kavanagh on the break. And McMahon joining in the attack.
Tell you what, McMahon's hot, Rob. He's hot there. He went to strike it, and it was a good challenge from Jones. And he's kicked right through into Jones. I think McMahon's got a problem.
He hasn't got up since that incident. Newton.
He was following up Rob, and he tried to blast the ball.
Keith Jones.
Thankfully, he's up on his feet.
Bowen and Barness, the 2 full-backs combined. Charlton need a quick response. It's Steve Jones! And the goalkeeper equal to it.
I think they managed to get it through the legs. Jones turning quickly. I think Tweed was a defender through his legs. It's a good turn from the big fella. Right-footed through the legs of Tweed. And a good stop. Muggleton had to be in the right place. And what a glorious goal from Wallace. Superb. Just running onto it, catching it so nice. Bang. And goalkeeper Petterson, no chance.
A thumping finish to add to the goal that he scored in the victory against Stockport last month. And it's the visitors who are in command.
Yeah, and Delilah.
You always know things are on the up for Stoke when the strains of that famous song are heard.
I think that was actually the first strike on target, Rob. Charlton have to up the tempo now. I've been a little bit disappointed with Charlton so far. They're a lot better than what they're showing us.
Bowen. A different scenario for Charlton than when they were defeated here by Stockport, and it actually led from the first half, only to capitulate in the final 20 minutes. This time they're asked to come from behind. Alan Kirbishley must already have been disappointed when they were being held in the first half. He's really hoping that his team can find a leader out on the pitch now to gain the inspiration to drag his team back into the game.
Yeah, he needs a bit more, doesn't he?
Sigurdsson, well, he let it go, and I don't think Muggleton was expecting him to.
He's had a little smell there, but again, it just skimmed off the surface. Kinsella and company now in the midfield. So Charlton, Robinson, they've got to start pushing forward, forcing Stoke back.
The goals that have been so free-flowing for Charlton previously this season, now they need one now. Newton. And what a cracking goal it was from Ray Wallace.
Yeah, well, I was saying how quickly the midfield players of Stoke like to get forward, and Wallace just takes a chance. It's a lovely ball, but this is great strike with the right foot. And there's a delight. Get in there. Petterson, no chance. Kavanagh and Forsyth, who we're seeing, have really played well today. Lovely with the ball at the feet. Loads of confidence. This guy can pass and score goals.
Griffin.
I think Alan Kirbishley will want more from Sean Newton. Griffin's kept him very, very quiet. It's a promising player. Pacey. And really, Newton hasn't got in behind him once.
Well, they'll really be ruining that miss from Newton early in the second half now, when Robinson delivered for him and he couldn't make the most of it. Sean Newton, Steve Jones, Mendonca being joined by Robinson in the box. Here's Newton. Bowen aiming for the far post.
Yeah, Mark, we're disappointed. Well, that really has been Charlton's story, you know, the final ball into the box. Although Robinson put a couple of nice ones in earlier, Alan Kirbishley will be wanting a little bit more quality with the final ball.
Alan Kirbishley in his third year in sole charge of Charlton, but his association with the club goes back a lot further than that from his playing days. Indeed, he was with the club when they left the Valley and ended up on their nomadic existence, and of course their final game at the Valley before they headed off to Upton Park and Selhurst Park was against Stoke. They won that day with a goal from one Rob Lee.
You can bet your boots Alan's sides always play football, good football. Alan Kirbishley himself, great passer of the ball.
Kirbishley didn't actually play in that game, he was sidelined at the time.
Again, Stoke making it difficult for them, all behind the ball.
Rufus. Newton saying that he's quick, but not that quick.
He's in for a little bit of more options on the ball, Rufus. Give me a bit of movement, it's thinking. But again, that was breaking home, would have caught that one.
Wallace. Away goes Andrede. Chapple heading it behind. It's a corner here.
Andrede saying he took one in the eye there from Chapple, but Chapple's playing well. He hasn't missed too many in there.
Maybe a goal up Stoke, but they're still throwing plenty of men forward for this. Sigurdsson and Tweed, both in the attack.
A nice mix, a nice blend in midfield. Kavanagh is the anchor man, but does get forward as well.
It's Keane's corner. Forsyth just couldn't connect. Barness. There's Andy Griffin.
Good play again there.
And it's gone through Barness, and Forsyth got a lot of work to do on his own. Andrede coming up from behind him, but Forsyth has done well there. He's won the corner.
Stoke at the corner there. Griffin tucks round, you know, in case his centre half can't go back in time. And they really are working hard for each other, the Stoke side. This time it was Forsyth in advanced positions there, and up go the big boys again.
And the goal really appears to have spurred Stoke on. They're winning plenty of corners at the moment. Keane with the latest, back to Kavanagh, who set up the opening goal. Keane. Griffin. Wallace trying to make another burst through the middle, but was desperate to stay onside and just failed to do so.
A little bit naive. They're getting caught a lot of times offside now. Chapple just pushing up. And they won't mind. It stops the game. It stops the fluency from Charlton's point of view. One down they are, Charlton. Really, Stoke are looking very comfortable. Obviously about to change things, Rob. Just needs a little bit more urgency.
There's Chapple. Rufus. Number 2, Mark Bowen. Newton, who may be the man about to come off. Headed away by Sigurdsson.
Yeah, Newton's he's not been at his best today. I like him as a player. I think he's one of the best in this division, but today he's been very quiet.
Barness. Bowen.
And you see Chapple struggling to get that ball.
And McMahon was very determined, but didn't quite keep it in.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a case for obstruction there. Because Chapple was toiling. McMahon is quick. Look at this. Chapple coming right across him. And really, if he gets isolated, Chapple, against someone like McMahon, he could be in trouble. You know, his strength's very good in the air, good positional play. He doesn't want to be exposed against a fast, tricky winger.
Robinson. Away goes Andrede. It was a difficult one for him.
Well, he started well, but he's got missing for the last hour. He's working hard, but getting caught too many times offside.
And now the substitution that was anticipated is happening, and Sean Newton is coming off to be replaced by Matt Holmes, who's been badly affected by injury since he made the summer move from Blackburn. He suffered a knee ligament injury in a friendly against his old club West Ham. But Holmes made his first league appearance in 19 months in the midweek victory at Huddersfield. And now they're hoping that he can have some sort of impact to try and turn this game around.
Yeah, I think Alan was right to change it, because looking a little bit flat now, Charlton.
And in the switch around, we've seen John Robinson revert to his preferred position on the right, and Holmes has gone out to the left. Could this be the ingredient that Charlton need?
And the red eye space. Yeah, a bit disappointing, aren't they? You know, the chance to go second. Really expected a little bit more from the home side, a little bit more sparkle.
And after Nottingham Forest dropped those points yesterday against Tranmere, I don't think there'll be many complaints from them if Charlton stumble. Because if they are to win here, Charlton will be in a very threatening position for the leadership of the table going into the midweek fixtures. But can Stoke hang on to the lead that they've achieved? Bowen. Here's Robinson. Keith Jones. Robinson.
Desperate to get the right foot cross in, but again, good defending with Griffin.
A new customer for Griffin to deal with now that Robinson has switched to this flank. Bowen's cross.
Not bad, Muggleton came for it. You'd expect maybe Jones to challenge the keeper there, but perhaps just a little bit too close to Muggleton.
Kavanagh. Away goes Andrede. McMahon is in the box with Kavanagh waiting at the edge. He's got the cross in, and McMahon can only a bit of whisker away.
Yeah, he tried the nutmeg on Rufus and got away with it. It was a good ball in. McMahon, well, just needed another inch of height.
A very inviting cross. Wallace.
That's what Stoke are good, Rob. When the ball falls in that midfield area, I think they're quicker to it. The 50-50s, they're getting there first. The knockdowns.
Holmes. Here's Steve Jones. Defending from Griffin.
The home fans were shouting. They thought it was a handball. And Griffin, I think, was clearly pushed. Just a little shove. Not a lot in it. Still quite happy, just keeping it quiet again now. Charlton aren't really getting in behind them. They're not causing them too many problems.
The Stoke have still got 25 minutes to hold out or build on the lead. And here's McMahon. Kavanagh, who's covered a lot of ground, has gone into the area.
I don't think McMahon realised Chapple had fallen there. He tried to juggle the ball when Chapple was on his backside. It was nice to get 3 points away from home. Still, there's time left for Charlton to get back in the match.
Stoke won 8 games on their travels last season, which is a respectable total. But it was towards the end of the season when things started to go awry for them. In fact, after winning here, they went 9 away games without a victory and lost the last 6 in a row. Griffin has hit that one against Robinson, putting Tweed under pressure, but he's dealt with it, temporarily at least.
Tweed's shouting, screaming to hold the ball up. Andrede. He's coming back too quick. Get a hold of it. Give us a chance to push up.
And the frustration's growing for Charlton. Remember, only once have they failed to score in a league game this season. That was the fixture at Bury.
Would you please contact the nearest steward urgently? Thank you.
Rufus with the clearance. Here's Holmes. Keane. Barness having to be careful against Andrede.
A good closing from Andrede. It gives Stoke a chance now to push up. Charlton, you're looking for a bit of magic from someone at the moment. There's too many of the players are having off days.
Keane's throw. Barness. Tweed. Hopeful one from him. Andrede has gone down in the Charlton area, holding his left leg.
Kavanagh was just picking up the knockdowns again. How many times has he done that?
There's Wallace. Stoke effectively playing with 10 men at the moment, and could be 9 now. Wallace is down 2.
Yeah, there was a late challenge on Wallace. Very unhappy down there. In fact, there's 1 or 2 challenges flying in now.
Well, Stoke now have 3 players feeling injuries. Andrede was the first one to go down. Wallace went down 2.
It looks like he's in a bit of trouble, Rob. Wallace, thankfully, he's to his feet, but it was a late challenge on him. This is what happened to the big fella. Just climbing up there, and you can see he turns his left ankle with a substitute Holmes. It was all about the way he fell, and in Wallace's instance, there's the challenge. That's not Wallace.
That was the 3rd injury. That was McMahon. He's quickly up on his feet again.
Chapple quickly in with a challenge.
3 injuries in a row. Andrede off the field, and well, was Barness the Holmes rather the full 10 yards from that free kick.
Forsyth again, try to sneak in behind. And is that outside the box?
Certainly pushing it to the border.
Charlton have got to start pushing forward. They're too deep, and they just don't, they're not carving any chances out. I need to see more of people like Robinson and Kinsella getting forward.
Well, how long will Stoke leave it before making a decision on Andrede? He's still off the field.
Oh, he's turned his ankle, simple as that.
Mendonca. Andrede seems to be making his exit.
The only thing you can do there, Rob, is get it strapped up.
Well, he's taking the shortest route possible by walking right in front of the goal as play's continuing. He's off the field now.
Yeah, I tell you what, he snaps into tackles, this boy Griffin. Randy Robinson done well. There was no arguments from him. He's impressed me, this fella, Andrew Griffin. Just sees the ball whack, and he goes, and that's maybe lucky not to get a yellow card.
Well, they've made the change with Andrede having gone off, and Paul Macari has come on to replace him. Macari, who's been in excellent goal-scoring form for the reserves, 3 goals in the last 5 reserve matches, and son of Lou Macari, younger brother of Mike Macari, who's still on Stoke's books but is injured at the moment. And Paul Macari now on with his team leading 1-0.
I think the instructions are basically hold it up, son, just keep a hold of it for us, give us a chance to get up and help you.
Son causing problems. Chapple really struggling to get that one away, and Macari making life difficult for them already.
Somehow got to get the ball to Mendonca's feet in and around the box, Rob. He's just not getting a touch.
Robinson.
Son's Charlton's there. I'm impressed with Stoke.
Since the break, Stoke have completely starved Steve Jones and Mendonca of service, and they've been very much peripheral figures. Barness, Kinsella. Here's Rufus. Leading 1-0, but Stoke's job is by no means done. They're having to press hard here. This is good pressure from Charlton. Holmes cross. Tweed up behind Sigurdsson with a header clear.
He's been in the right place so many times this afternoon, Tweed. Once again, defending well.
Chapple. Here's Kinsella. Holmes. Kinsella. This is Bowen. Steve Jones in the box was calling for it. But Stoke are slamming up the no entry signs, and now Mendonca or Robinson trying to find the magic that could pierce this defence. Good persistence from Robinson.
Griffin doing his job again, getting the goal kick. But really, it's pretty stuff from Charlton. Nice little passing movements, but they can't just get in behind them. Robinson's trying there, but you can see Griffin again getting back. Really, they've got to try and thread balls into the feet of Mendonca.
Wonder of the football coming up immediately after this. Tottenham against Sheffield Wednesday on Sky Sports 1. Super Sunday from 3 o'clock. Two teams under pressure. And Monday night football brings Barnsley up against Coventry. Full coverage from Oakwell starting at 7 o'clock. There's Steve Jones.
Tweed very close to Jones. It's been a good battle between them two. Jones with that earlier chance, but since then Tweed hasn't done too much wrong.
Good work here from Kinsella. Macari wrestling away with Anthony Barness. Holmes. There's Keith Jones.
Again, the 2 centre midfield post to Stoke. That a good carry from
Holmes. Well, he won it well in the first place.
Yeah, he's looked fairly lively since he's come on. Done well there, battled away. Just even a shot on target, it gives the home fans something to shout about. Just gives them a lift.
Macari.
As the drums beat again. Yeah, he's been quiet this half.
No surprise the way the game has been going, but still a quarter of an hour left. Charlton, we hear, plotting another change. Bradley Allen could be the man to come on this time to add more firepower.
Yeah, I think Steve Jones could be the one going off, Rob. But really, he's worked very, very hard. Mendonca's been very quiet, but he's always still a threat. I mean, get the ball in the box and he can roll someone, get a little twist in. He could get them back in the game. That'll be the gamble.
Offside against Macari. And Bradley Allen, who's another player who's been hit by injuries, had a knee operation and has made only 3 league appearances in the last 11 months. Poised now to come on. Sure enough, Steve Jones, the man coming on.
I thought he worked hard, especially first half. Very willing to do his share of the work. Good runs, had that earlier chance. Had that gone in, it could be a totally different outlook.
Well, the name Allen and the family of Allen has got on the score sheet plenty of times in the past, and Bradley Allen immediately in the thick of the action from the free kick, but Griffin dealing with it well, doing all that was required of him. Paul Macari, who's really ploughing a lone furrow up front at the moment. Chapple. Jones. Bowen. Jones again.
Jeremy McMahon back there, closing, pressing. Really is a good, it's a good system they've got here, Stoke. They're all working for each other.
Pickering. McMahon. This is Bowen. Robinson. Holmes.
He's worked hard as well, Keane, hasn't he, getting back there to block Holmes. In fact, the midfield of Stoke have really impressed me, every one of them.
They've grafted really well, and if they can hold out for another 12 minutes, this will be an extremely useful 3 points. Kinsella. Barness. Allen. Here's Holmes. Kinsella trying to work the opportunity, and it deflected in. And that's the goal that Charlton were desperate for. And Kinsella, via a deflection, has provided it.
Yeah, I think it might come off Wallace. Ray Wallace, but Kinsella was behind. He was just trying to get it on his right foot just to get the strike away. It's a good little play, good possession. Thread into the box, just comes inside on the right foot. There's a strike, it hits Wallace and over the head of Muggleton. Maybe undeserved, but Charlton back in it. Kinsella, the first time really we've seen him in the box, on the right foot. Stoke are a little bit unlucky here. He lets fly, it hits Wallace, goes to the ground, bounces over Muggleton. 1-1.
It looked like it was never going to happen. Kinsella will definitely claim it, even though Ray Wallace has now had the last touch on the 2 goals that have been scored. The screamer at the right end and the deflection at the wrong end, which completely wrong-footed Carl Muggleton.
He was a bit unlucky, the keeper, wasn't he? He definitely hit Wallace, bounced on the ground, and the bounce was a wicked bounce.
And the atmosphere has changed again.
The question now is, what does Stoke do? Do they go searching for another winner? Or are they quite content now to get behind the ball again and just settle for the 1 point?
Chick Bates may have seen something like that happening. They were very animated a few moments ago, thought that their team maybe were tempting fate, tempting Charlton onto them, and now that Charlton's tails are up, anything could happen in the closing 10 minutes of this game, and no question they'll be going for the jugular now.
Yeah, another goal takes them to second place.
Bradley Allen. Macari. And away goes Ray Wallace.
As you say, settle down, settle down. All right, it's not the end of the world. 1-1. They might have settled for that before the game started.
Sides cross.
Macari there had a chance. It was Barness who was in front of him. Macari tried to get across the fullback and really should have just held his position at the far post. Good ball into the box from Forsyth. Right foot, right to the far post. Macari tries to get across Barness. It would be better if he just stayed out there. Aye, you get the equaliser and what happens? Cozy Powell.
The reverberations from the drum continues. Charlton's pressure continues too. Visibly lifted by the goal. Kinsella, the provider. Here's Kinsella again. Robinson away from Griffin.
Oh, what a ball that is.
So inviting. Allen couldn't get there. And here's Jones. Barness joining the attack. Now Mendonca.
Wow, what a ball that was. Robinson, superb. That was crying out for someone on the end of it.
Here's Macari on the chase. No one there for him. Stoke midfield is coming forward now. Keane. Clearance was by Rufus. Pickering.
Well, we know Clyde Mendonca's had a quiet game, but goodness me, I thought Robinson's cross had Mendonca's name all over it. Good play, but once he gets past Griffin, right foot, the keeper stranded, nobody there.
Just in the sort of area where normally you would have expected Allen or Mendonca to be there attacking it.
You can't get any much better than that. Problem is, I think some of the final balls from Charlton have been so bad that sometimes forwards, they don't react quick enough because they don't feel it's coming into the box, and then suddenly you get a cracker. And really, Clyde Mendonca, he'll realise how good that cross was. He should have been on the end of it.
And the quality of the crossing has improved since Robinson reverted back to his favoured side on the right. Seven minutes left, and although Stoke may at the start of the day have been happy with a point, I think if they only come out of it with a point, they'll end up being disappointed with the manner in which it occurred.
Yeah, I think you're right, Rob, but they'll also take a lot of confidence out of the fact that it was a solid performance. Okay, a little lapse there when maybe Kinsella could have been closed down a little bit quicker. It's been a good, solid performance from them. The form's holding up, they're doing well.
The question is, are they going to emerge with a point? Or do Charlton still have something in reserve? Rufus. Jones, Kinsella. Is he going to unleash another one, Kinsella? Great work from him. Here's Robinson. Here's Mendonca. Just couldn't slip it through Sigurdsson. Great work, though, from the home team. They really have been putting the frighteners on Stoke since that equalising goal. Mendonca. Jones to Holmes. Behind Allen, Sigurdsson cleared a little nervously. And Holmes is putting the pressure on, and that's worked to good effect, Allen. Hit against him, goal kick.
Well, it's amazing all of a sudden. A little bit of maybe a fortunate goal suddenly gives everyone a lift, and then Stoke on the back foot. I think it's always important as well when you get a good crowd, Rob, you get the good home results. Certainly been very quiet the second half, the Charlton fans, but now are lifted.
Into the final 5 minutes of the game. It all started so promisingly for Stoke, but now they're battling to preserve a single point from this game. And Tweed now has conceded a corner.
Again, the home fans and the drums beat again. Tweed, who's been a rock, suddenly finds himself under pressure. Can this man still grab the headlines?
Surely the resolve of that Stoke defence will be sorely tested by this latest effort from Mark Kinsella. Chapple went down, hopefully. Robinson. Well, the free kick given, and Robinson really is starting to make dangerous inroads.
Yeah, you don't want to be giving free kicks away at this stage in the game as well, because there's only one place this ball's going in, and that's right into the belly, right into the box. And really, he was going nowhere there, and now it's a dangerous situation to defend.
Kinsella with a free kick. Chapple and Rufus belatedly going forward. Behind them all to Holmes. Chapple. Bradley Allen. Really anxious times for Stoke. Clear was by Griffin, and there's McMahon. Well, they surely couldn't have envisaged it going this way, but there's been a definite uplift in the Charlton performance. Holmes with a cross, it's a powerful one. And Robinson has done well to rescue it.
Yeah, good play from Robinson.
Kinsella. Robinson again, first time cross this time. Bowen did well to feed it back through. Kinsella. Clearance by Griffin.
This is the first time in the match I think Stoke have been under pressure. They're a bit shaky.
Barness. Here's Jones. Robinson. Barness. Kinsella. Great spell of late pressure, great skill from Rufus. Deflected this time by Pickering, who's relieved to see it go behind for the corner.
Smashing turn from Rufus, wasn't it? Great turn, got it in the left peg. And Pickering quick to close down. I thought for a minute he was going to have another wicked deflection into the net. Good turn from Rufus, bang! And I tell you what, he struck it well. The keeper happy to see that one fly over.
Well, if they'd shown this sort of pressure early in the game, it could have been all over by now, but they're finding themselves late on. And it's Mark Kinsella with yet another corner for Charlton.
Is desperate to try and get this player on. Trying to just roar. He's saying to the linesman, come on, get your flag up, I want to make the sub now.
And now it has been noticed. McMahon is the player who's coming off, and to bolster their defence they're bringing on Justin Whittle, a player that was bought out of the army by Celtic, and they'll need those fighting qualities now to hang on.
Yeah, well, he heads the ball well, Whittle, and Chickbait's desperate, get in that box quick.
Well, he's got his man on in time, and he's going to have to defend here against the corner from Kinsella as Charlton try and pile on the agony here for Stoke. Chapple, Mendonca, and Jones just couldn't turn on it in the box, and Whittle finally takes control, but really the Stoke fans behind that goal were covering their eyes.
Oh, it's nervous moments, isn't it? Jones tries to swivel, gets it on the chest, tries to swivel with the left foot, and Whittle gets the clearance away.
And the agony of yet another corner to follow. In fact, it's a throw-in this time, taken by Robinson. Bowen, Robinson, looking for Chapple with a cross. Went behind him and Tweed, and it was cleared by Pickering in the end.
Yeah, Holmes is right behind Pickering.
Barness. Volleyed clear by Kavanagh. Anywhere will do for Stoke at the moment.
Yeah, crikey. Intense pressure.
Injury time, Alan. Who's your man of the match?
Well, I think it had to be one of the Stoke players. I liked the midfield. I thought Forsyth got through a lot of work. Cracking goal as well from Wallace. And the provider for Wallace, I'm going to give him man of the match, is Kavanagh. He's won all the knockdowns, he's got forward and he's defended well.
Here's Bowen. Stoke supporters imploring the referee to blow the final whistle. They'll be happy with this possession. Forsyth winning the throw. As Charlton's last opportunity to steal this game passed away.
I think Kinsella suddenly got involved in it. He's a good player, Kinsella. We didn't see enough of him for an hour. And then suddenly starts to play.
Barness. Well, Holmes felt the brunt of that. From Pickering.
Well, I've enjoyed it on this balmy day. Beautiful. I think Stoke might feel a little bit unlucky, Rob, on the way home. But to be fair to Charlton, they've kept battling away. Maybe that extra time in midweek has affected Stoke. Maybe just feeling a little bit tired.
And at the end of the day, Alan Kirvishley, who might have expected to win this game, will be grateful to have emerged with a point. Kinsella's header back, the clear indication of setting themselves on their way again from the back with Bowen.
I think Alan will definitely say that this Stoke unit is a decent side. He knows his side can play better. He'll be happy with a point, I'm sure, after the way they played today.
Holmes. Barness. Here's Mendonca. Allen and Robinson are still waiting. We'll wait a little bit longer. Still there may be a chance for Charlton to steal it. We're into the 3rd minute of stoppage time. The referee's checked the watch, and that's enough. And Stoke have taken a point from this and will be disappointed in the end that that is their only reward, having taken the lead early in the second half thanks to Ray Wallace, who then was unlucky enough to deflect the ball past his own goalkeeper from Mark Kinsella's shot that really did save the day for Charlton. At the end of the day, that they will be relieved to have at least earned a draw. The win that would have taken them second hasn't materialised, so they stay 4th in the table. And they're well aware of what a well-organised unit this Stoke side is. The points shared then by the two sides, the final score, Charlton 1, Stoke 1.
Frantic finish, but Charlton left it a little late, didn't they? More live action still to come today. Over on Sky Sports 1 next, it's off to White Hart Lane. Spurs against Sheffield Wednesday, two struggling sides desperately in need of victory. And that's followed at 6:30 by live basketball from Sheffield as they take on Leicester. And at 9, it's live American football, the Oakland Raiders versus the Denver Broncos. Here next, it's rugby union and live action from Gloucester against London Irish. At 6:30, it's off to the USPGA for day 4 of the Walt Disney World Classic. And there's more golf over on Sky Sports 3 now, live coverage of the final day's play in the Alfred Dunhill Cup. And at 6:30, Espanyol take on Betis in live Spanish football. So a great lineup and a great choice on our 3 sports channels. The match facts from the Valley, 1 goal apiece. In the end, 13 attempts at goal, 9 for the home side, 3 of those on target. Stoke with just a 1 on target, and they scored from it. And Charlton won the corner count by 9-3. It wasn't a dirty game, hard fought, just the one booking Stephen Tweed of Stoke in the first half. And as far as the action areas are concerned, well, Charlton dominated in terms of attacking ideas in the first half. They also had the better of things as far as possession was concerned, with 56%. And in the second half, a similar story. Stoke, marginally more ideas up front, but Charlton ever more dominant as the match progressed. We can now hear from the 2 goal scorers. They're talking with Alan Bentley.
Well, first of all, Ray, second goal of the season. Have you scored many sweeter than that?
No, I don't think I have, actually. It's nice to come off like that, with a strike like that. It was something I've never tried before, but it's always nice to go in like them.
Oh, I reckon that's 18 goals from midfield this season for Stoke. It's a real feature of your play.
Yeah, the lads in midfield, myself, Fozzie, Keeney, Kevin, and Cav, been playing very well this year. You know, it is our feature, actually, to break from midfield and break early to the forwards. And it just showed today that with the goal we scored.
Well, we can show that to you now if you want to have a look at it and talk us through it.
Cav done well pulling it back for us and just running in on the blind side of Keith, and just like thought, have a go.
Seemed to bobble.
No, I don't think so. If it bobbled, then it was a sweet strike.
Well done for that, Mark. Perhaps yours wasn't quite as sweet. We saw you get 2 crackers last season. This one, a hint of fortune about it?
Yeah, I think that was the only way we were probably going to score today, because they defended very well, sat behind the ball and hit us on the break. And,
well, here it is. We can see yours as well.
Yeah, it came off Ray, I think. Just bobbled. I mean, that was the only way I was going to score.
In the end, relieved to just get the point.
Well, yeah, indeed, yeah. We came here to get 3 points, but a point will do, because they're top 6 side as well as ourselves, so it's going to be a hard battle this season.
You came from Ireland, from the same club home farm as Graham Kavanagh. They've produced all sorts of players. What is it about the place?
Years ago, I used to have 16 different sides that could produce 4 or 5 players a year, but it's died down a little bit now. But there used to be Ronnie Whelan came from there, and they're still producing.
They are indeed, and indeed Graham Kavanagh is our man of the match, so Ray, if you could take that through to him.
Did you get that? Oh, yeah, I'll take it through to him. Okay, thanks a lot. Cheers.
I've got a feeling that that bottle isn't going to leave Ray Wallace's hands. We shall see. 1-1 in the end, a disappointing result, I suppose, for both teams. Gary Nelson's been watching the match with me. Charlton obviously knew they could go second today, but until the last 15 minutes, they didn't do themselves justice, really, did they?
No, I think they'll be relieved to get a point out of that game. Just shows you that you're 1-0, you're defending, you defend very well. Stoke defended really well. A little break, a little bit of a deflection, and the last 10 minutes it's chaos, and for the first time Stoke looked really vulnerable. But I think Alan and Charlton will be very pleased to have got a point out of that, because they didn't play as well as they would have hoped. I think Stoke away from home are going to cause teams a lot of problems. They defended as a team, worked very hard, looked to hit teams on the break, and what a goal.
Let's have one more look at it. And I think both of Ray's brothers, Danny and Rodney, would have been happy with this finish.
The secret to that is keeping the ball low and perfect strike. You know, you see so many of those sail over the top, but he's kept that low, perfect strike from distance.
And we'd said in the studio at that point that perhaps it wasn't going to be Charlton's day because Stoke had really soaked up the pressure, and until those changes were made by the home side, they didn't look like unlocking the door, did they?
Well, Chick will be disappointed because Stoke have got 3 men there trying to close the ball down, and you know, just perhaps didn't close down quite enough. The 3 of them stood off, look, just giving him space to swing the foot. 3 of them you'll see all coming into the picture, and he's still got a strike in, and it's just taken a wicked deflection. A little bit of luck you need, but sometimes when you're at the top of the table, they're the sort of things that happen for you. When you're at the bottom, they don't. But I think probably just about a fair result, I think, 1 each.
Well, let's have a look at the league table and see how it's affected the two sides. No change in the bottom half. And into the top, and we'll see that Stoke have moved up a couple of places from 9th to 7th, and Charlton stay 4th with 20 points, so they are 3 points behind the leaders, Nottingham Forest. Well, just a final word to Gary about his new book. Is it proving to be as successful as the first one?
Well, yeah, I hope so. I mean, yeah, judging by the initial reviews that we've seen, have been very favourably comment and very pleased with it. We're just hoping now, fingers crossed, that it might get shortlisted again.
And have you got plans for another one?
There are plans in the pipeline, but where I'm going to get the time from, I don't know at the moment.
OK, well, thanks for joining us today, and good luck in the world of writing.
Thank you.
Wasn't quite Ray's day today. His strike put Stoke on the way, only for Mark Kinsella's deflected shot off Wallace to ensure a share of the spoils. Goodbye.
You got nothing left to say. I'm gonna let you until I get my way. Oh, man. I just wanna love what you wanna with my lady.